One of the most controversial relationships in world politics began in a classroom. A 15-year-old brilliant student and his theater teacher, 24 years older, married with 3 children. What started as theater lessons in a Catholic school in France became a scandal that shocked an entire nation and challenged every social convention. This is the true story of Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Trogneux. A love that faced relentless judgment, devastated families, and against all odds, led one of them to the most powerful position in France. Get ready to discover the never-before-told details of this relationship that divided opinions and broke taboos. What do you think about relationships with large age differences? Leave your opinion in the comments. Amiens, a city in northern France, known for its imposing Gothic cathedral and cobblestone streets. Winter 1993. The cold wind cuts through the narrow streets as students rush to their classes at La Providence, a prestigious Jesuit school that has educated the French elite for generations. Emmanuel Macron is 15 years old. Brilliant, articulate beyond his years, with an insatiable hunger for knowledge. He comes from an upper-middle-class family. His father, a neurology professor. His mother, a physician and social security advisor. They raised Emmanuel and his siblings with high expectations and rigid discipline. In the theater class, he meets her, Brigitte Trogneux. 39 years old, married to André Loisier, a banker. Mother of 3 children, the oldest just a few years younger than Emmanuel. Brigitte is elegant, cultured, passionate about literature and theater. She teaches with intensity, bringing classic texts to life with the energy that captivates her students. During rehearsals for a play, something unusual begins to happen. Emmanuel and Brigitte connect on an intellectual level that surprises them both. The conversations extend beyond the curriculum. They discuss philosophy, literature, politics. Emmanuel writes with sophistication that impresses his teacher. She sees in him not a child, but an intellectual equal. The rehearsals become longer. After class, they talk in empty hallways. Emmanuel confides his ambitions, his dreams of changing France. Brigitte listens, fascinated by the maturity and vision of this teenager who seems decades older than he is. But Amiens is a small city where everyone knows everyone. Whispers begin. Other teachers notice the special attention Brigitte gives to Emmanuel. Students comment on the long conversations, the looks, the extra time spent together. One afternoon, Emmanuel's grandmother, Minette, observes something during a family gathering. The way Emmanuel speaks about his theater teacher, the light in his eyes, the passion in his voice. She says nothing, but she understands. Emmanuel's parents eventually discover the truth. Not through gossip, but through their son's own confession. He tells them, with the conviction of someone much older, that he is in love with Brigitte Trogneux, that she is the woman he will marry one day. The reaction is immediate and devastating. His mother is horrified. His father is furious. This cannot be happening. Their brilliant son, with such a promising future, involved with a married woman, a mother, someone old enough to be his own mother. It is unthinkable. It is scandalous. It must end immediately. They confront Brigitte. Tense meetings follow. Brigitte's husband becomes aware of the situation. Families on both sides are in crisis. The small community of Amiens begins to hear fragments of the scandal. In cafes and markets, people whisper about the theater teacher and her student. Emmanuel's parents make a drastic decision. They will remove their son from Amiens, send him to Paris to complete his final year of high school at Lycée Henri IV, one of the most prestigious schools in France, far from Brigitte Trogneux. Distance, they believe, will end this madness. Time and separation will make Emmanuel forget. But as Emmanuel packs his belongings to leave for Paris, he makes a promise to Brigitte. A promise that seems impossible given their circumstances. He tells her he will return, and when he does, he will marry her, no matter how long it takes, no matter what obstacles they face. Brigitte watches him leave, torn between guilt and a love she cannot deny. Her marriage is crumbling. Her reputation in Amiens is in tatters. The future seems impossible. But something in Emmanuel's eyes, in his absolute certainty, makes her believe that maybe, just maybe, this story is not over. What do you think? Abu to what you've seen so fair? Does this seem like truly live or something that should never have happened? Share your thoughts in the comments. Paris, 1994. Emmanuel Macron walks through the halls of Lycée Henri IV, one of the most competitive academic institutions in France, located in the historic Latin Quarter. The building dates back centuries. Its walls have witnessed the education of philosophers, writers, and politicians who shaped French history. Emmanuel throws himself into his studies with almost obsessive intensity. Philosophy, literature, mathematics. He excels in everything. But every night, he writes letters. Long, passionate letters to Brigitte in Amiens. He calls her whenever possible. The distance which his parents hoped would extinguish the relationship only intensifies it. In Amiens, Brigitte faces a personal hell. Her marriage to André Louis is over in everything but name. Her husband knows about Emmanuel. The betrayal, if it can be called that, has destroyed the foundation of their relationship. But divorce in a conservative Catholic community like Amiens carries enormous social stigma. Brigitte's 3 children are caught in the middle: Sebastian, Lawrence, and Tiffaine. They are confused, hurt, angry. Their mother is in love with someone barely older than they are. How do they process this? How do they face their friends, their own teachers, knowing what everyone is saying about their mother? The city of Amiens, with its quiet streets and traditional values, becomes a prison for Brigitte. At the market, conversations stop when she approaches. At church, she feels the judgmental stares. Former friends avoid her. Parents of her students request that their children be transferred to other classes. Yet, Brigitte and Emmanuel continue their relationship through letters and phone calls. He tells her about his studies, his plans for the future. She becomes his mentor, his intellectual companion, his emotional anchor. The age difference, which society sees as obscene, seems irrelevant to them. Emmanuel's grandmother, Minette, remains the only family member who does not condemn the relationship outright. She sees something in it that others refuse to acknowledge. Perhaps she remembers her own youth, her own choices that defied convention. She tells Emmanuel's parents to give him space, to trust that he knows his own heart. But Emmanuel's parents are unmoved. They believe this obsession will pass. They encourage him to date girls his own age. They introduce him to daughters of their friends. Emmanuel politely declines everything. His focus is singular. Brigitte Trogneux. As months turn into years, Emmanuel graduates from Lycée Henri IV with honors. He enters Sciences Po Paris, then the prestigious École Nationale d'Administration, known as ENA, the training ground for France's political and administrative elite. Presidents, prime ministers, and corporate leaders have emerged from ENA. Emmanuel is building exactly the kind of future his parents envisioned for him, but not in the way they expected. Because every achievement, every success, brings him one step closer to his goal: to be worthy of Brigitte, to create a life where they can be together without apology. In Amiens, Brigitte finally makes her decision. She files for divorce. The scandal that was already simmering explodes. A divorce in her social circle is almost unthinkable. A divorce to be with a former student, now in his early 20s, is beyond comprehension. Her children struggle to accept it. Her ex-husband is devastated and humiliated. The city that has been her home becomes unbearable. But Brigitte has made her choice. After years of guilt, of hiding, of trying to be what everyone expected her to be, she chooses Emmanuel. She chooses love over respectability. The divorce is finalized in 2006. Brigitte is free, but at enormous personal cost. She has lost her marriage, her standing in the community, relationships with people she has known for decades. Her children are slowly, painfully, trying to understand and accept their mother's choice. Emmanuel, now 29 years old, has completed his education. He has worked as an inspector of finances for the French government. He has joined the Rothschild & Company investment bank, where he orchestrates multi-billion euro corporate deals. He is successful, respected, and ready. He returns to Amiens, just as he promised all those years ago. October 2007. The small city hall in Les Touquets, a coastal town in northern France, witnesses a wedding that will be discussed for years to come. Emmanuel Macron, 29 years old, marries Brigitte Trogneux, 54 years old. 24 years separate them. The ceremony is private, attended only by close family and a few friends. But privacy is impossible. The news spreads rapidly through Amiens, through Paris, through all of France. The reactions are immediate and polarized. Traditional Catholic families are scandalized. This is not just an age difference. This is a former teacher marrying her student. A woman who was married with children, now with a man young enough to be her son. It challenges everything they believe about family, propriety, and appropriate relationships. Feminist groups are divided. Some see Brigitte as a woman who chose love over societal expectations, a brave act of defiance. Others see something more troubling. A position of power, a teacher with a teenage student, a relationship that began when one party was a minor. The discussions become heated. In cafes throughout Paris and Amiens, people argue. Is this love or manipulation? Is it romantic or predatory? The gender reversal makes it especially complex. If the genders were reversed, if a 54-year-old man had married his 29-year-old female former student, would the reaction be different? Most agree it would be. But should it be? Emmanuel and Brigitte move to Paris. He returns to his career in banking, making a fortune in corporate mergers. She tries to build a new life in a city where she's not known, where the whispers are less personal, less cutting. But Brigitte faces challenges Emmanuel never will. The physical reality of their age difference is visible to everyone who sees them together. She is aging naturally, gray hair appearing, wrinkles deepening. He is in his prime, youthful and energetic. The comments are cruel. Tabloid magazines publish unflattering photographs. Online forums dissect her appearance with vicious detail. Brigitte's children are now adults, slowly coming to terms with their mother's choice. Typhane, the youngest, eventually becomes close to Emmanuel. She begins to see what her mother sees in him: intelligence, kindness, ambition. The relationship is strange, undeniably, but perhaps genuine. Emmanuel's career continues to rise. In 2012, he becomes an advisor to President François Hollande. His political acumen, his understanding of economics, his ability to communicate complex ideas make him invaluable. Brigitte is always beside him, attending functions, offering advice, being his closest confidant. Then, in 2014, Emmanuel is appointed Minister of Economy, Industry, and Digital Affairs. At 36 years old, he is one of the youngest ministers in French history. Brigitte becomes even more visible. The wife of a government minister cannot hide. The scrutiny intensifies. Every outfit Brigitte wears is analyzed. Every public appearance is photographed from every angle. Commentators compare her to other ministers' wives, almost all younger. The comparisons are rarely kind. Emmanuel introduces economic reforms that anger labor unions and delight business leaders. Protests erupt. His name becomes controversial for his policies, not just his marriage. But the marriage remains a constant topic. Political opponents use it to question his judgment. Supporters defend his right to personal happiness. In 2016, Emmanuel makes a shocking decision. He resigns from the government and launches his own political movement, En Marche, which translates to forward. He announces his candidacy for president of France. Everyone thinks he is insane. He has never held elected office. He is too young. His party is too new. He has no chance. But Emmanuel has always defied expectations. And Brigitte, who has faced judgment and scandal for more than 2 decades, is ready to face whatever comes next. Together, they prepare for the biggest challenge of their lives. The presidential campaign is brutal. Opponents from the left and right attack Emmanuel's policies, his inexperience, and inevitably, his wife. Brigitte is called too old, too influential, too everything. Conspiracy theories spread on social media. Some claim she's manipulating him. Others invent bizarre stories about their relationship. Thank you so much for staying with us until this point. The best 8 TI Stokum, May 2017. Election night in France. Emmanuel Macron, at 39 years old, becomes the youngest president in French history. He defeats Marine Le Pen, the far-right candidate, in a landslide victory. It is an unprecedented political earthquake. As Emmanuel delivers his victory speech at the Louvre Museum, the iconic glass pyramid illuminated behind him, Brigitte stands beside him. She is now 64 years old, about to become First Lady of France. The cameras capture everything. Her expression, her emotions, the historic moment. The world watches. International media covers not just the political upset, but the personal story. The New York Times, The Guardian, Der Spiegel, every major publication writes about the Macron. Many focus on the age difference, the origin story, the unconventional nature of their relationship. Brigitte moves into the Élysée Palace, the official residence of French presidents. The palace is a symbol of French power and tradition, built in the 18th century. Every room is filled with history, with art, with the weight of centuries of leadership. Brigitte must now redefine what it means to be First Lady of France. Unlike previous First Ladies, she is not interested in being merely decorative. She wants a real role, meaningful work. She creates programs focused on education, literacy, and supporting disadvantaged youth. She visits schools, hospitals, and community centers across France. But the criticism never stops. Fashion magazines praise her style one day and tear it apart the next. Political commentators question whether she has too much influence over the president. Every decision she makes is analyzed through the lens of her age and her past. Emmanuel faces enormous challenges as president. The Yellow Vest movement erupts in 2018, massive protests against fuel taxes that transform into broader rage against economic inequality. Every weekend, protesters flood the streets of Paris. Violence erupts, buildings burn. The Arc de Triomphe is vandalized. Emmanuel is accused of being out of touch, arrogant, a president of the rich. His approval ratings plummet. The pressure is immense. In private moments, Brigitte is his anchor. She listens, advises, reminds him why he entered politics. Their relationship, forged through years of adversity, is tested again. The COVID-19 pandemic hits France hard. Emmanuel must make impossible decisions. Lockdowns devastate the economy. Hospitals are overwhelmed. Thousands die. The nation is in crisis.
Brigitte cannot be by his side in public appearances as she used to be. Social distancing rules apply even to them. Through it all, their relationship remains under scrutiny. Tabloids continue to speculate. Is the age difference finally taking its toll? Is Brigitte's health declining? Is Emmanuel seeking companionship elsewhere? The rumors are relentless and usually baseless. But those who know them personally tell a different story. They describe a couple deeply connected, intellectually matched, genuinely devoted to each other. Emmanuel credits Brigitte with keeping him grounded. She credits him with giving her a life she never imagined possible. In 2022, Emmanuel runs for re-election. He is the first French president in 20 years to win a second term. Brigitte, now 69 years old, campaigns alongside him. She has become more confident, more comfortable in her role, less affected by the constant criticism. The victory is sweet, but the challenges continue. France faces economic uncertainty, social unrest, international tensions. Emmanuel's leadership is constantly questioned, and Brigitte remains a figure of fascination and controversy. She gives few interviews, but when she does, she is candid. She acknowledges the unusual nature of their relationship. She admits the difficulties, the judgments, the pain of being constantly scrutinized. But she also speaks of love, of partnership, of choosing happiness over conformity. The Élysée Palace at night. Behind the ornate windows and heavy curtains, Emmanuel and Brigitte Macron face the reality of leading France through turbulent times. He is now in his mid-40s, she is approaching 70. The age difference that once shocked the nation has become a defining feature of their public identity. Emmanuel sits in the same office where Charles de Gaulle made historic decisions, where François Mitterrand shaped modern France. The weight of the presidency is visible in the lines on his face, the exhaustion in his eyes after long days of crisis management. Brigitte has transformed the role of First Lady in ways previous holders of that position never attempted. She broke protocol by insisting on an office in the Élysée, on a staff, on real work rather than ceremonial functions. She pushes for education reform, for programs supporting autistic children, for initiatives helping disadvantaged students. Conservative members of French society are appalled. The First Lady is not an elected official, they argue. She should not have political influence. But Brigitte is unmoved. She has spent decades facing criticism. She has developed a resilience that few understand. The relationship between Emmanuel and Brigitte remains a topic of endless fascination. Psychologists write articles analyzing their dynamic. Relationship experts debate whether such age differences can truly be healthy. The internet is filled with opinions, most from people who have never met them. Some see a love story that transcends convention. A relationship built on intellectual connection, mutual respect, and genuine affection. They point to the decades they have been together, the challenges they have overcome, the unwavering support they show each other. Others see something darker, a teacher who crossed boundaries with a student, a relationship that began when one party was a minor and the other was in a position of authority. They question the power dynamics, the appropriateness, the ethics of how it all began. The Macrons themselves rarely address these questions directly. Emmanuel has said in interviews that Brigitte is his equal, his partner in everything. Brigitte has said that their relationship was unconventional but genuine, that love does not follow rules. Their personal life remains largely private despite their public roles. They have no children together. Brigitte's children from her first marriage are now middle-aged with children of their own. Emmanuel has embraced the role of stepfather and step-grandfather, though he came into those roles under the most unusual circumstances. As Emmanuel navigates international crises, from tensions with Russia to negotiations with European allies to managing France's relationship with former colonies, Brigitte is often his first advisor. She reads briefings, asks difficult questions, challenges his thinking. Their evening conversations in the private quarters of the Élysée are where some of France's most important decisions are shaped. The French public remains divided about them. Polls show that opinions about their relationship correlate strongly with political views. Those who support Emmanuel's politics tend to view the relationship more favorably. Those who oppose him use the relationship as evidence of character flaws, poor judgment, or worse. International observers watch with a mixture of fascination and confusion. In many cultures, the age difference and the origin story would be absolutely disqualifying for political leadership. In France, with its complex attitudes toward love, privacy, and personal freedom, it is controversial, but not necessarily fatal. As Emmanuel's second term continues, speculation about the future intensifies. Will he run for a third term, which is not allowed under French law? Will he retire from politics? What will Brigitte do when they leave the Élysée? These questions remain unanswered. What is undeniable is that Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte Trogneux have lived a life that few could imagine. From a forbidden teenage love in a Catholic school to the highest office in France, their journey has been extraordinary, controversial, and utterly unique. They have faced judgment that would break most people. They have endured scandals, protests, political opposition, and constant personal attacks.
Yet they remain together, a couple whose relationship began in the most unlikely and controversial circumstances and has endured through everything. Whether their story is romantic or troubling, inspiring or disturbing, depends entirely on perspective. And that perspective often says more about the observer than about Emmanuel and Brigitte themselves. What is certain is that their relationship has challenged French society to confront uncomfortable questions about age, power, love, and convention. It has sparked debates that continue to this day. And it has proven that even in the 21st century, love stories that defy every rule can still capture the world's attention. This true story shows how love can challenge all social norms, but it also raises important questions about power, age, and morality. Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte built a life together that few believed possible, reaching the pinnacle of global political power. But at what cost? And you, what do you think about this relationship? Was it true love from the beginning or something that should never have happened? Leave your honest opinion in the comments below. We want to know your perspective. If you enjoyed this content, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next stories. And be sure to watch the recommended video next, where we reveal more surprising secrets of world leaders who shocked their nations.